Can't complain, man. So, you've had an incredible career, fought really just about everybody you possibly can. So, at this point, in this stage, getting ready to try and become one championship champion, I mean, does anything really feel like a challenge anymore for you?
I believe everything's a challenge. I mean, being 34 years old, be doing this for a very long time, getting the daily grind in and out of the gym, and taking on an athlete like Adriano Moraes is it's not easy, right? It's a challenge. He's very long, very big for the weight class. He has a reach advantage. So the challenge would be, how can I cross distance without running into any trouble, getting there, getting my hands on him and imposing my will. So, right there, I just named, a challenge. And that's just one part of my career, and being a father, raising three children, getting them to school. And yeah, I mean, everything's a challenge.
Do you think that people make too much out of the size difference? Because, you only have three losses in your career. You've mostly everybody you fight is bigger than you.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah. I mean, when I was in North America, you're fighting guys who are 5'3", 5'4". My last couple of opponents have been a little bit more on a taller side. I believe Ya's probably 5'5", and Tatsumi Wada is probably 5'6". Adriano Moraes is maybe 5'7", 5'6". I don't really know. So it's funny. I was talking to somebody and they're like, dude, when you fight in America, you're fighting guys who are actually your height. Now, when you're in Asia, you're fighting guys who are taller than you. But that just shows you I'm up at a different weight class. I'm fighting at 135 to where in America I was fighting at 125.
Yeah, definitely. And just speaking of, those bigger guys and the 135ers you've fought in the past, of course, you've fought the best one, arguably ever, Dominick Cruz. And, you guys go way back. Just curious, if you saw his recent fight and thoughts on him still being able to hang with guys in his division.
Yeah. I saw his last fight. He looked great. Dominick Cruz has that same style. He likes to use a lot of head movement, a lot of footwork, just a lot of that movement. Yeah, he looked great. I'm happy that Dominick Cruz is still able to compete, make money, and be healthy. At the end of the day, we're all athletes. We have a short window of opportunity to make as much money as possible. And he's had a very successful career as an analyst, and I'm happy for him.
Absolutely. And, just curious, what did you think of the monster thoughts? If you have any comments or thoughts on his call out.
Yeah, I think that's a personal thing between him and Hans. And obviously, that's his opinion. And, I know Monster, they're a great company. They pay very well to their athletes. They take care of their athletes. And it's not just mixed martial arts athletes they take care of. They take care of all types of athletes, motocross, photographers, videographers. So, I'm sure that Hans and Dominick Cruz will square out that beef. And, I understand where he's coming from, right? As athletes, like I said, we do this to make a living. And when a sponsor comes in the way of you getting a paycheck, you're going to have, ill will towards that person. So, he's letting everybody know, like, dude, like, that's not okay what you're doing.
Next question will be from Jude Briosis of Overtime Heroics MMA.
The whole world knows you're a fantastic martial artist, probably the most complete and well-rounded of all time. But I believe one's strongest critic is himself. And we certainly couldn't find any areas where you need to improve. But what aspect in mixed martial arts do you personally think that you still need to work on?
I think everything. I believe there's always something you can work on when it comes to mixed martial arts. Like competing and training in the gym are two different things. So for me, I still haven't got to the point where I like to let my hands go a little bit more. But you're playing with such fine windows of opportunity on the feet. Ground, it's a little bit different. You can feel it, and you can feel your opponent's energy and the weight, how they transfer. On the feet, you're playing with just windows of openings, and I haven't been able to utilize those openings that I see.
Being hailed as one of the greatest of all time, and I personally think that you are. Does the fear of losing ever get to you? Like, does it ever bother you once you finally step into the octagon?
Nope. He said, step into the octagon. I'm stepping in that thing ever again, dog. No. So for me, it's not about losing. It's about performances, right? Like my last loss against, Henry Cejudo was probably one of my best performances. And my stock even ran up even higher because each time I go out there and fight, I go out there and compete. I'm not worried about losing. Like losing is part of the game. I've lost before and nothing's ever changed. I've gone out there and won fights and, nothing's ever changed. So for me, when people give me that hail of the greatest of all time or the Paramount GOAT, that's their opinion. For me, I know I'm a hard worker. I know I'm one of the best to ever do it, especially in the flyweight division. and I'm just going to keep on training hard. So I'm not worried about losing.
Next question here from Conan Altatis of Conan Daily.
Are you willing to use your platform to share your thoughts about current social issues, especially in the US, or would you rather stay out of it and, focus on MMA?
I focus on MMA, and when I use my social media platform is for my use only. I believe everybody's political beliefs and what they believe in is for their own place to share. But, I don't, I'm pretty transparent about my beliefs, but I don't think it's a place for me to share. If somebody asks me what I think, then I'll give it to them. But I can say one wrong move. I can say one wrong thing, and next thing you know, I can't believe he thinks that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, for example, I have a German Shepherd, and the trainer came over there, and she goes, now when your dog pees in the house, make sure you don't, stuff his nose in it and whack him. I was like, nah, dog, I'm old school. Like, she pissed on the ground. I'm grabbing her by the scruff. I'm shoving her face in the urine, and I'm saying, don't do that. And I'm smacking her, and I'm tearing her again on the couch. If you have a problem with that, then you can leave the house. But I'm old school. So people are going to have political beliefs. They're going to call PETA on me. And I'm like, well, if it's my dog, I don't tell you how to raise your dog. So that's why I kind of just, when it comes to political beliefs, I keep it to myself.
Second is, do you think fighting in your home country will work for your advantage?
Well, I'm not in my home country. So, but when I have fought in my home country.
I'm fighting in the US.
No, you mean, am I fighting in the US time zone? I'm not fighting in the US. Yes, I'm fighting in the US time zone. So do I think it's going to be to my advantage? Right. I think it's going to help me better instead of trying to acclimate to Singapore time zone.
Yeah, Adriano is considered the underdog, but what do you think is his greatest strength that you have to watch out for?
I think his greatest strength is his grappling. Like I said, he's very long for the division, very tall, and he has those long legs, phenomenal grappler. He likes to get on people's back, lock out the body triangle. With me being shorter, I've showed in the past, with Tatsumi Wada, when he got my back, locked on the body triangle, took me like 3 minutes to get that thing off me. Didn't really take any damage from, Tatsumi Wada being on my back, but that's 3 minutes of me that I could have been working, trying to finish a fight, passing guard, throwing elbows, anything. So that's the biggest strength I believe Adriano has.
Our next question here will be from Zach Harkness of MMA Island.
So Moraes seems to have taken a trash-talking approach in the lead up to this matchup, which is kind of surprising considering your standing in the sport. Were you surprised that he took this attitude before the fight? And how does the trash talk quality compare to others that you've faced?
I am not, to be honest with you, I'm not sure like the way he's thinking, because I haven't really followed his career. So I don't know how he approaches his fight. So this is, I guess, new to me. But, I've had trash talk before on my fight, fighting John Dodson. I think John Dodson was the only one who really talked crap. But yeah, it's just the way he likes to take if he wants it.
As you've beaten a lot of the contenders in the division, if you claim the belt, how would you feel about going for a second belt, moving up and facing an opponent that eluded you if he also wins the belt in John Lineker?
Yeah, I wouldn't shy away from that, whether I win the belt or come up short. Me and John Lineker used to fight for the same organization, for the same division at 125. But if I don't foresee him getting past my teammate Bianca Fernandez, and I have no interest ever fighting Bianca Fernandez.
Next question here from Nick of South China Morning Post.
You just mentioned Bibiano there. We're doing a little live stream for this, and there was a question in the chat just asking, is there any news on the one championship GOAT himself, Bibiano Fernandez, when he may be coming back?
I'm not sure. Bibiano Fernandez, he's doing very well. I speak to him almost at least three times a month, but he's at home. He just had his, I think 41st birthday. So he's doing good. He's just waiting for that next fight. I'm pretty sure the next fight with John Lineker, and I don't know who John Lineker's fighting next. I'm sure if John Lineker wins that, it might be him. But Bibiano, the man from the jungle, is always ready. He's just waiting for that phone call.
We found out he had flight issues yesterday. He missed his media duties. So I was worried the fight wouldn't happen. But I presume it's all okay. But what's it like just having to have to constantly deal with the fight being rescheduled the last 18 months or so?
It can be frustrating, but there's it's out of my control. So when the fight, we're supposed to fight, I believe it was last year, we're supposed to fight in China, and then we're supposed to fight in Jakarta. And then we got scheduled for February. Now it's in April. So there's a little frustration, but you just got to stay focused and stay healthy and keep on training. And that's all we did, to be honest with you. We just, we're getting ready in February. He's during Christmas. And I remember my coach came in and goes, hey, I think they want to push it back, the fight back in April. They want to promote the fight during March Madness. I'm like, oh my God, can we just fight already? But we're here now. I'm excited. I'm happy that he made his flight. I hope he had a great flight. I hope he's feeling good, and we can get this fight done with.
Your one championship career has been paired with Eddie Alvarez. You guys have always fought on the same cards. It's happening again. Well, how do you think his fight's going to go? Do you have a prediction for that? He's obviously backing you. I know you guys are pretty close. You did Brendan Schaub's show recently.
Yeah, I got Eddie's back to the wheels fall off. Big fan of Eddie Alvarez, come a long way. I remember when he won the UFC lightweight championship. Now he's in, one championship. He had a very tough loss against Timothy Nasty Nukin, and now he came back, bounced back with a win over Eddie Falang with that nice sweep, got the choke, and now he's got his hands full with Youre Lapicus, and it's a little bit different. I tell people it's a little bit different for us to come over here, be quarantined like every other athlete is, and trying to stay active, trying to stay focused, trying to stay motivated. But I think he's going to go out there and do his thing. And for him, it's a little bit different as well because he's fighting guys that are a little bit bigger. Granted, Eddie does get to 190, but he's used to fighting guys at 155, not as tall. But it's going to be a good fight. I'm very excited for this fight with Youre Lapicus.
This next question will be from Jake Snooperowski of Rusty Cage Podcast NYC.
Demetrious, you haven't been the challenger in a title fight since September 22nd, 2012, almost 9 years. How does your preparation change, especially mentally, in being the challenger rather than the defending champion?
It never changes. The only thing that changes is that now I'm training for a 5-round fight instead of a 3-round fight. So that's nothing really changes. I've never had that mindset, even though when I won my first belt in 2012, and now I'm about to go for a different belt. It's my mindset never changes. It's just another fight.
Cool. I'm also curious, how important is it to you and your legacy to show the world, and especially Dana White, that you're still at the top of the heap by winning this one championship belt?
I mean, it's not important at all I know, and I think the world knows where my skill set is. I've shown them my last fights, and I'm just going to go out there and do my thing. Obviously, I'm not worried about showing anything to Dana White.
This next question here will be from Jay Anderson of Cage Side Press.
Hey, DJ, welcome back. Thanks very much for the time tonight. A couple of things. First of all, I just wanted to ask you about Adriano Moraes, because he's not a household name to Western fans. He might be kind of overlooked by the MMA community here, but in your estimation, in terms of the challenges that you faced, I know the next fight's always the biggest, the next guy's always the toughest, but where do you kind of rank him among the opponents you've taken on?
Yeah, he's up there. He's my next biggest fight. He's my next challenge. So, and I think the reason why, potential that he's not a household name is that he hasn't done any work in the U.S. soil, right? I believe the only reason my name is big in the U.S. soil and in Asia as well is for what I've done on American soil and how I've gone about my career. I don't skate by in my fights. I'm always looking for the finish. And I think that's what kind of elevated my name, essentially.
And the other one I wanted to ask is, you've had a couple of almost gleeful reactions tonight when you've been asked about your former employer. And I'm just wondering, when you talk about never having to step in the octagon again, do you feel free or rejuvenated having made this move? Do you feel like you're kind of free of the past in a way?
My past is, I don't run up with my past, and it's not like I don't like talking about it. I just love how it's catching people, right? I was like, well, how do you feel when you step in an octagon tonight? And I'm like, well, I'm not stepping in an octagon. It's because I'm still sharp. I'm basically analyzing all your guys' question. Well, the question that people are asking me. So, and the gentleman asked me do you think you need to go out there and prove to Dana White that you're still one of the best in the world? I know I'm still one of the best in the world. I know that for a fact. Whether I go out there and win or lose, I know I'm one of the best in the world. So I just chuckle about it.
Do you feel that you're in a better place now than when you were a couple of years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when I was in a UFC, I felt like I accomplished everything that I could. I felt like the only thing I could have accomplished more is going up there, try to do the double champ, or trying to get more pay-per-view buys. That's the only thing that I can look back on my UFC career. Like, that's the only two things that I never were able to accomplish. Like, how can I generate, 500, 600, 700,000 pay-per-view buys and go up to 135? But, at the end of the day, when it was those talks, I had stipulations that I wanted that they didn't want to meet. So here I am now. I'm at a brand new organization going for a world title. And if I could be champion of both sides of the world, that'd be phenomenal.
Simon Romero of Behind the Grid.
I just have this one for you here. So you got to be honest with me. You stood across the cage against Henry Cejudo in your career twice. Does it still bug you to this day that you haven't been able to settle the score for those two fights yet?
No.
That's the only one I got for you. So I appreciate the kind words.
3 times, sir.
Moving along now, we have our next question from Dylan Bowker of My MMA News. Dylan Bowker, please go ahead.
Hey, the first question I have is in regards to a recent post I was seeing on the One Championship social media. You likened your Grand Prix title to the crown jewel of your career. I'm kind of curious, if you get the ideal outcome here and win the Millennial One Championship, do you think that will supersede that in any kind of way, or is it your appreciation of Grand Prix that will always kind of position that as the capstone achievement?
It's the appreciation of Grand Prix achievement. Like I said, in that interview when I did it, like, I'm being straight up. I watched more Grand Prix growing up than as a kid, and when I was in college. Like, I never forget, like, coming home and just popping in DVD players and watching Core Cop and Vanderlei Silva and Josh Burnett, and just seeing those guys go through and be like, oh, dude, go break down, go grab an high kick. Just seeing it over. And then even when I was when I was working and I wasn't a professional athlete yet, I remember watching Bianca Fernandez in the Dream Grand Prix, when he was fighting Joe Warren, and seeing him get that fat, nice belt from Dream. So I've always been a big fan of World Grand Prix, just because there isn't any, what's the word I'm looking for? There isn't no, like, what's I'm looking for? It's not about how big you are, right? You get 16 top dudes in a weight class, and they just go in there and they just fight. So there's no market. I mean, there is marketing, but if you want to get to this championship, you have to go through these guys to get to that belt. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about the Grand Prix. To where nowadays, someone who has a big name can just walk in there on losses, and in mixed martial arts, that you can get a world title shot on losses. And in a World Grand Prix, once you lose, you're out. Like, you're done. It's over with. So even if I'm able to capture, the one flyweight belt on Thursday, Singapore time, Wednesday, my World Grand Prix is always my crown jewel.
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with the love for Grand Prix there, man. But also I wanted to follow up with your thoughts on something here, because when I interviewed Adriano Moraes, I didn't think it was hyperbolic to say that this fight is one of the more consequential flyweight bouts in MMA history, just considering the respective resumes of yourself and Moraes. Like, I'm kind of wondering what your feeling is on that characterization there.
No, it's definitely a big fight. It's definitely a big fight in my career. I'm approaching it as it's another big fight, and then that's it. And back to the Grand Prix talk. Like, if there was a 140, if there was a featherweight World Grand Prix and my body was healthy enough, and Chatri gave me the blessing to step into it, and depending on who was in it, like, let's say there was a World Grand Prix at featherweight, and they're like, oh, there's some big motherfuckers there though. And they're like, yeah, you can do it if you want, then maybe I would do it. But if I were to win it and I had to fight Bianca Fernandez, I'm like, I don't want to fight Bianca. I just wanted the belt. But I just like it. It's just, like I said, it's something I grew up. It's something I grew up, watching, seeing Sakuraba do the open weight Grand Prix, Sakuraba doing it. And it's almost like, I don't know. I feel like when you do the Grand Prix, it's like, I feel like I spent my whole entire career fighting, and obviously that's what you do in your career is fight. But I feel like in the Grand Prix was just fun for me, like just going in and just fight and like, okay, your next opponent's going to be this guy, and that's it. When you're just sitting and you're training in the gym, you're just waiting for the phone call, like, hey, your next opponent's this guy. So I think kind of seeing who's in the bracket is fun. But yeah.
Evan Montgomery of Fight Freak.
So with on Saturday, where would you rank yourself among the greatest MMA fighters of all time?
That's up for the public, but like I tell everybody, when my time is done, I'll tell my kids like I'm one of the greatest to ever do it in my in the smaller division.
Next question from Singapore Strike Sports.
Not only that, this event will be premiering at the TNT, but due to the time zone difference, you will be fighting in the morning. Will it affect you in any way, or it doesn't make any difference for you whether you're fighting in the morning or at night?
No, I prefer to fight in the morning, to be honest with you. I come out here just to compete, and I'm sticking to the American time zone. So like yesterday, I had to do CT scan at 2:00, and my body was crashing because that's like 11:30, 12 a.m. our time in America. So right now I would be competing inside the cage. And I've been training every day since 8 a.m., which is about 5 o'clock our time. So I'm sticking to a U.S. time zone, and I'm looking forward to it.
We have a next question here from Ivan Stewart Saldajano of Dugout Philippines.
Michael Schaubveller yesterday about Adriano Moraes' possible implications on his win. So, in your regards, do you think Adriano Moraes has what it takes to become at least one of the greatest flyweights of all time in either promotion?
In either promotion? See, when it comes to that, for me, it's hard, right? Like when people, so this is how I answer this. When I ask people, like, why do you call me the greatest of all time? Right? I ask people that. They say, well, it's because your dominance over 6 years and how you defeated so many different athletes in other different forms. That's what they tell me, right? So if I were to look at Adriano Moraes' career, he won the belt, then he lost to Kai Akhmatov, then he won it back, and then he beat Jay Eustaquio, and then he fought somebody, then he lost the belt to Jay Eustaquio, then he just won it back. So he's had some losses within his championship reign. So a lot of people, the community, like I said, this is all community standpoint. My standpoint would be like, well, I don't know, I haven't seen him fight American athletes. Like it's hard for me to do it. So that's why I would say I go by the community standpoint. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, what do you say? I don't know.
We're going to move along now. Our next question will be from Chris De Santiago of MMA Island.
Were you able to Zoom call your family?
Yeah, I talked to them. They had a good time. They were doing Easter egg hunt. But it was good.
Awesome, man. So, with the 135-pound weight division, it's a Shark Tank of talent. You have Kyoji Horiguchi, Juan Archuleta. You have Petr Yan, who's basically the UFC champion under one championship rules. You obviously have Adriano Moraes, who you're facing against next. Out of all of those title holders at 135, who would be your toughest test?
Probably Petr Yan. His hands are fucking good. He's very that's nothing taking anything away from Adriano Moraes. He's still dangerous, but Petr Yan has a very unique style of fighting. He comes forward, he throws great combinations, he's very fast. He seems like he has a good takedown defense, and he has power. So that's always dangerous. But yeah.
Our next question will be from Sazali of Straits Time.
Time zone issues aside, how stoked are you to finally be back, doing what you're best at in prime time in the States?
I'm very excited to be back. I'm very excited to be back. Just banging out all this media. Can't wait to get back to my room and eat some food. But I'm super excited to be back, to be able to fight live on TNT and, keep it on American time zone.
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez said it's a bit of a coming out party for one championship. Do you think fans are going to find out something new about this organization?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think fans who haven't had a chance to see one championship, they're going to be in for a real treat. You got me taking on Adriano Moraes, you got Eddie Alvarez taking on the Yuri Lapikis, and you also got Rodtang competing as well.
Next question is from Leon Jennings of Asian Persuasion MMA.
Hey, DJ, although there have been times when you weren't able to train in the last year and a bit, Do you feel in some ways better prepared for this Adriano Moraes, knowing how long you've known he's going to be your opponent?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you can say that. I mean, with COVID, we trained as much as we could. And then when we weren't able to train, we just chilled and relaxed and didn't worry about fighting and competing.
You've taken everything in your stride. Is there anything that gets under your skin?
No. At the end of the day, I know why I do this, and that's to provide for my family and my kids. So, yeah, that's. I don't see why anything will get underneath my skin as long as my wife and kids are good. I'm able to pay my bills, and I got 4 walls and a roof and no holes in my roof. I'm content. I'm happy.